The Elliots were distraught. Their grand plan lay in tatters, and it was obvious now that they had made a serious error in judgment. They were sold a dream, and all it took was 2 days to realize that their dream was over. There had been warnings, but the couple had ignored them, a decision they regretted dearly now as they held each other close and huddled together, waiting for the nightmare to end. Private islands sold for chump change, there's a condition in the contract. When Brett and Georgia Elliott tied the knot, all their friends and family agreed they were a perfect match. As a pair of writers-bloggers, both had managed to carve out successful careers without ever needing to ever step foot in an office. The couple put off having kids for the first few years and decided to use that time to travel together. After doing the whole condo living thing for a while, the pair soon realized that they were not like most couples their age. Both being natives of Maine, prior to being married, they had been together for 5 years. They had a lot in common. While condo life had its charms, the couple realized they were different from typical couples as both preferred being outdoors. To them, condo living was a safe choice, but felt utterly boring at the same time. After discussing it at length, the Elliots made a decision that most of their friends and family considered unconventional. While most couples their age were all willing participants in the rat race, Brett and Georgia felt that there had to be more to life than simply living for the weekend. Although both were only 26 years old, their success had enabled them to put aside some savings. The pair decided to both travel together for a few months. Neither expected that their lives would change so much as a result of that decision. In the weeks that followed, Brett and Georgia toured the country together before doing a few weekend getaways in the Caribbean and South America. After spending all that time living in island paradises, both realized that this was the only life for them. After returning to condo life, it became apparent to the couple that they needed a drastic change. Brett and Georgia's travels had inspired both of them to seek a new life. Going back to the bustle of city living had suddenly become intolerable to them. They both knew that their ideal life was away from the suburbs. Fortunately, the nature of their jobs meant they were able to work from anywhere. With this in mind, the couple began planning their future life. Brett and Georgia imagined their dream life to be one where they could have the ordinary comforts of a home while being surrounded by nature and open space for miles around them. It wasn't going to be easy to find a place that offered such unconventional living standards, but they were determined to make this dream a reality. After scouring the net for months, the couple was ecstatic when they came across a listing that seemed perfect in every way. Maine was known for its beautiful islands. While most of these were publicly owned and accessible, the couple knew that there were also many privately owned islands. They had never considered this option as it was also well known that private islands were naturally very expensive. When the couple came across a listing for one that was a huge bargain, they could hardly believe their luck. There was, however, one catch. The ad listed the entire island, together with the 500-square-foot cottage house that came with it for under $350,000.00. With stars in their eyes, they were immediately seduced by this incredible price. When the owner stipulated that potential buyers had to first spend a night on the island to see if they could rough it out, the Elliots actually considered this part to be a bonus. It wasn't long before they learned why this condition was part of the deal. Brett and Georgia were initially unfazed by the owner's warning that living on the island alone was not easy. After all, the pair had been on many hiking and camping trips and had spent time in some very remote regions of the world. They were confident that they were capable of roughing it out and signed up to spend a trial weekend on the island immediately. Once there, it quickly became apparent that they had made a grave mistake. Reaching the island by boat, at first, the pair were thrilled with the size and untamed beauty of the island. The cottage also appeared to be more than sufficient for their needs. Noticing a document with a list of warnings and disclaimers, the couple soon realized that there were a lot of issues to overcome. Chief among these was the fact that with no indoor ablution facilities, they would have to brave the elements and use outdoor facilities. Things soon went downhill when the weather began to change. Before settling in, they decided to try exploring a bit, but the howling wind, rocky terrain, and choppy waters made it impossible to go very far. While outside, a terrible storm suddenly erupted, and as they rushed back inside, Georgia slipped and badly injured her leg. Back inside, the storm battered the little cottage. Their food and blankets were in an outhouse that they could not get to. With no phone signal or means to communicate with the outside world, the couple realized they were trapped for the night. Aside from Georgia being injured, the pair were soaked, freezing, hungry, alone, and afraid. They had no choice but to find a corner of the cottage, huddle together, and try to see it out. By the next morning, the storm raged on. Brett tried in vain to reach their food, but had to abandon the trip due to the treacherous terrain and weather outside. Deeply regretting their choice to spend 2 nights here instead of one like the owner had advised, the couple faced another agonizing wait for help. After yet another full day of being trapped inside the cottage, the next morning brought relief. The storm finally ended and the couple managed to get some food. By the time the owner arrived to fetch them, they could not wait to get off the island. He helped Georgia nurse her injury with a first aid kit. Apologizing for the horrific experience, he also reminded them that he had tried to warn them. This island, although beautiful, was far from being a comfortable place to live. After finally reaching home, Brett and Georgia suddenly had a newfound appreciation for the basic comforts that their condo afforded them. It was a harsh lesson, but they had learned from it. Deciding to put the disastrous idea of living off the grid behind them, the couple eventually decided to stick with their comfortable apartment. They knew now that adventures were better suited for vacations and not everyday life. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.